For years, the accepted narrative has been simple. Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, but Melania was just the innocent girlfriend, someone who happened to be in the wrong photographs at the wrong time. That story is now under direct legal attack. New court filings allege that Melania Trump was not a passive bystander, but an active figure inside the same social circle that preyed on young women. They claim her introduction to Donald Trump was not accidental, it was arranged. And most explosively of all, they allege that her first intimate encounter with the future president did not happen in a nightclub, but aboard the customized Boeing 727, known worldwide as the Lolita Express. In this report, we are not reviewing a glossy, $40 million propaganda film. We are opening court files, we are examining sworn filings, and we are breaking down the lawsuit that claims Melania Trump isn't trying to protect her reputation. She's trying to bury her past. To understand why this legal battle has turned so vicious, you first have to understand the public relations disaster unfolding right now. It is January 2026. The Trump administration is facing the most intense civil unrest of its second term, following the shooting of ICU nurse Alex Pretty by immigration officers in Minneapolis. Cities are on edge. Protests are spreading. The country is burning. And in the middle of this firestorm, Amazon MGM Studios decided to release a $40 million puff piece. The documentary, directed by Brett Ratner, a filmmaker who left Hollywood years ago amid sexual misconduct allegations, was supposed to be Melania Trump's coronation, a reinvention, a sympathetic portrait. But the real-world data tells a different story. According to The Hollywood Reporter, tracking for the film is catastrophic. Box office projections are in the low single digits. Why? Because the timing is grotesque. Just last night, while National Guard units were deploying to Minneapolis, Melania hosted a VIP screening at the White House. The guest list included Mike Tyson, Tim Cook, and Brett Ratner himself. Custom black and white popcorn boxes, champagne, cameras, while a nurse lay dead in the snow. But the real problem isn't the tone deafness, it's the counter-programming. Because at the exact same moment Melania is trying to sell a story of grace and patriotism, journalist Michael Wolff is selling a story of complicity and alleged crimes. And unlike the movie, Wolff's story is under oath. Let's move away from the red carpets and the premieres and into the only place that matters right now, the courtroom. Because this is not gossip, this is not rumor, these are legal filings. In October 2025, Melania Trump's legal team sent a threat letter to journalist Michael Wolff. The demand was blunt. Retract your claims or face a $1 billion defamation lawsuit. The assumption was obvious. Most authors fold. Most publishers panic. Michael Wolff didn't fold. He did the opposite. He sued her. Wolff filed a declaratory judgment action under New York's anti-SLAPP laws, daring Melania Trump to prove him wrong in court. He forced the issue into the open, where truth becomes a defense and silence is no longer an option. And this week, in a January filing, Wolff's legal team dropped what can only be described as a legal grenade. They laid out in detail exactly what Melania Trump is allegedly trying to suppress. At the center of it all is the Epstein connection. We all know the official story. Melania met Donald Trump at the Kit Kat Club in 1998 during a Fashion Week party. She was introduced by modeling agent Paolo Zampoli. That version has been repeated for decades. Wolff's filing calls it a cover story. According to the filing, while Zampoli may have been the public face of the introduction, Jeffrey Epstein was the engine behind it. Wolff alleges that Melania was part of what he describes as Epstein's culture of models of indeterminate age. Not runway stars, but social currency. These women weren't just attending parties. They were the lubricant for Epstein's high-power gatherings. The filing claims Epstein knew Melania well before she became Mrs. Trump, that she was a frequent guest at dinners where Epstein scouted women for his wealthy and powerful friends. And then comes the line that has the White House in full panic mode. In the filing, Wolff recounts a taped interview with Jeffrey Epstein, tapes Wolff claims to possess. In those recordings, Epstein allegedly boasts, "I was the one who introduced them. The first time he slept with her was on my plane." Not a club, not a party, a plane. The Lolita Express. The implications of that allegation are nuclear. If Melania Trump's relationship with Donald Trump began aboard a plane infamous for sex trafficking, if her introduction was facilitated by a man who later died in federal custody while facing those charges, then her entire role in the Trump orbit is redefined. She stops being a passive, elegant bystander. She becomes something else entirely, a survivor, an asset, or an active participant. And that ambiguity is exactly what this lawsuit forces into the open. Melania's response has been aggressive and absolute. Her attorney, Alejandro Brito, has dismissed the claims as false, defamatory, disparaging, and misleading. The defense points to a familiar argument. Melania's name does not appear on the Epstein flight logs, in the same way victims' names do. But Wolff's filing counters that argument with a chilling line. You don't log the inventory. And that brings us to a question that has lingered for years, now resurfacing with new force. The Einstein visa. For decades, observers have questioned how Melania Knaus, a catalog model with a modest resume, secured an EB-1 visa. This is a visa reserved for individuals of extraordinary ability. Nobel laureates, world-class scientists, cultural icons. Wolff's filing suggests we look not at Melania's portfolio, but at the sponsor who had the influence to move immigration levers at that level in the late 1990s, a man known for fixing visas for models in exchange for access. Jeffrey Epstein. And the allegation isn't limited to a plane or a piece of paperwork. It's about proximity, presence, repetition. Look again at the 2000 Mar-a-Lago photograph. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, Melania Trump. They don't look like strangers. They look comfortable, familiar, like a quartet. Wolff's argument is blunt. You cannot move inside that specific social circle at that specific moment in time without seeing something. The massages, the recruiters, the young girls, the patterns. That is why Wolff's lawyers are demanding to depose Melania Trump under oath. They want to ask questions she has never had to answer publicly. Did you ever see a minor at Jeffrey Epstein's home? Did you ever receive cash or gifts from Jeffrey Epstein? Did Jeffrey Epstein assist with your immigration status? This is why Melania is fighting so hard. Because in a defamation case, truth is an absolute defense. If Wolff can prove his claims are substantially true, or even that he had a reasonable basis to believe them, he wins. And to prove that, he gets discovery. Emails, diaries, travel records, the real story. Melania Trump is not suing to win money. She is suing to stop discovery. And by suing, she may have guaranteed it. You might be asking why none of this is leading the nightly news. Why a lawsuit this explosive, involving sworn filings and allegations tied to Jeffrey Epstein, is barely breaking through the noise. This is where the reality of 2026 comes into focus. President Trump has revoked press credentials from multiple major networks. He has launched what allies describe as a new Board of Peace, alongside figures like Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban, helping to construct an alternative media ecosystem, one designed to filter out stories that threaten the administration. The Melania documentary is part of that shield. It is art as alibi. By flooding the zone with a $40 million film portraying grace, patriotism, and victimhood, The strategy is to drown out the PDFs quietly circulating on the docket of the New York Supreme Court. But Michael Wolff is a problem they can't manage. He's not speculating on cable news. He's filing documents. He's submitting transcripts. And in a filing just yesterday, Wolff included what he claims is a transcript from one of those Epstein tapes. In it, Epstein allegedly discusses Donald Trump's preferences. He reportedly says, "Donald likes them young, but he likes them loyal." Melania was the perfect pivot. She didn't ask questions. That phrase, "she didn't ask questions," is haunting. It reframes Melania Trump's public persona entirely. It suggests that her silence was not elegance or distance, but currency. That not knowing was a choice, or at least not asking was. And now that silence has a price tag attached to it. $1 billion. Melania has built a career on being unreadable, a cipher, a blank slate. But the "she was there" filing fills in those blanks with the darkest ink imaginable. It suggests that her coldness isn't a personality trait. It's a survival mechanism. Because if she admits she was there, she admits she saw something. And if she saw something and stayed silent, she isn't just a former First Lady. She's a witness who said nothing for 25 years. We are now very close to the end of this story. One final section remains, where everything collides. The lawsuit, the protests, the film, and the question the court may soon force her to answer. You cannot separate this lawsuit from what is happening in the streets right now. The country is furious. The cognitive dissonance is snapping. On one screen, Americans see the former First Lady in a ball gown, framed by a $40 million documentary about elegance and patriotism. On the other, they see an ICU nurse dead in the snow after a federal operation. And in the background, quietly, methodically, court filings accuse the same First Lady of being shaped inside the orbit of a man who ran one of the most notorious trafficking networks in modern history. It's a modern let them eat cake moment. But instead of cake, it's a cinema ticket. And instead of a revolution, it's a RICO case waiting to happen. Even the creative team behind the documentary completes the irony. Brett Ratner, a director who left Hollywood amid sexual misconduct allegations, directing a film about a woman now accused of enabling silence around sexual misconduct, financed by a corporation seeking federal cloud contracts. It's an Ouroboros of corruption, a system consuming itself. The Melania documentary premieres January 30th. Donald Trump insists it's selling out. The data says otherwise. The theaters may be empty, but the courtroom will not be. Because in the United States, even in 2026, a sworn deposition still carries more weight than a polished montage. A subpoena is still louder than a soundtrack. And truth, when forced into discovery, does not care about branding. Melania Trump tried to escape her past by rewriting it on the big screen. But if Michael Wolff's tapes are authenticated, if the Lolita Express allegation is substantiated, then the Melania presented in that film becomes a ghost. A carefully constructed image, untethered from reality. The real Melania would be the one in the court files, the one who was there. And for the first time in her life, she may be forced to answer the only question that matters. What did you see? We will be reviewing the documentary, not for its artistry, but for its omissions. We will be comparing every claim on screen to every line in the filings. The unsealed Wolff documents are linked in the description for anyone who wants to read the evidence themselves. We are also continuing live coverage of the Alex Pretty protests on our secondary channel. Do not let the movie distract you from the docket. So now the question goes to you. Is Michael Wolff a liar chasing a payday? Or is Melania Trump the final missing key in the Epstein story? Tell us what you think. Subscribe for the truth.